Welcome back to the channel. We are here June 17th, and it's going to be the breakdown for the two-game slate for June 18th. We got going on Friday. Two elimination games, okay? One on Eastern Conference side and one on Western Conference side. Big games. Things can turn at a moment's notice. We have the Philadelphia 76ers on their heels, and we also have the Utah Jazz on their heels as well. So huge games. Before we get into that, let's just look over today's slate that just finished up. Milwaukee Bucks came through and won by 15 points. I was wrong. That's fine. I was wrong. That is fine. And if you're looking at the Action Network, I just want to show you what I was mulling over and why I didn't understand the line. It was at +5 for over a day, and that's because all the public money was on the Brooklyn Nets side. The small bets, a little bit of bigger bets, but the big money, the reason why I did not budge, it was because the big money was on the Milwaukee side. All right, you gotta, when you see something like that and you're like, it doesn't make sense, and you look at the percentages, is either you stay away or you choose the other side, because it's obviously I was wrong and that little bias was in there, but that's fine. That's fine. We will bounce back tomorrow. And that was only one of three for the props. At least we got one out of three, and that was James Harden scoring over 15 points. Jeff Green did not come through, and obviously the Nets did not win. So that was a learning experience. And then we're gonna look at DraftKings. I made 5 separate lineups. Um, One of them was, each one had a narrative. Obviously, this one was the Milwaukee Bucks narrative. I had Middleton, I had Kevin Durant, I had Giannis Antetokounmpo. But where I went wrong, the guy on the right, obviously, this was the first place winner. He had Drew Holiday. Then he had Tyler Johnson and Alize Johnson, two 1K guys. That's absolutely insane. And I told you, if you're okay with everyone else, and if you're paying up, you're going to have to sacrifice. You're just going to have to take the 1K guys. But if everything else works out, then you're going to be fine, because the Middleton, Durant, and Antetokounmpo and Holiday was all you needed. Was absolutely all you needed. And I wasn't willing to take that step. I thought that was too much of a sacrifice. And then I went down to Brook Lopez. And I was like, all right, cool. I got two util guys around that 2K range, and I think they're solid. They've been getting solid minutes and playing well. But you got to take that extra sacrifice. They went and got Drew Holiday and literally sacrificed the 2 bottom util spots. That sacrifice paid dividends and got them first place. So that was very impressive. Let's go over to DraftKings for tomorrow's slate, 2-game slate between the 76ers and Hawks, and between the Jazz and the LA Clippers. Let's start off with the point guard position. We're going to start off with Reggie Jackson. Has been playing very well. He's been the Robin to Paul George's Batman, playing a ton of minutes, knocking down shots. When Paul George was in a little bit of a rut or just a little lull, Reggie Jackson was there to put in some big buckets for the LA Clippers and come up with a huge win in Utah. That was a big statement. 22 points, 3 assists, 2 rebounds, 2 steals. I expect the same thing coming from him. The volume will be there, especially with Kawhi Leonard out. It's going to be him. It's going to be Paul George. It's going to be Marcus Morris. A chip in of Batum and everyone else, the cast and characters. But at this price, getting a ton of minutes, this is a steal, and he should be locked in all your lineups. Reggie Jackson. Next at shooting guard is going to be Joe Ingles at 5,500. He's been a model of consistency. As you can see, 3 straight games and 19 points. But then he had not even better game, but still a good game with 12 points, but chipped in with 6 assists and 6 rebounds. So you obviously, with Mike Conley out, they're going to be leaning on Joe Ingles and Donovan Mitchell to bring up the ball on each and every possession. So Joe Ingles is that pivot play. If you want a piece of the Utah Jazz offense without getting Donovan Mitchell and sacrificing that much salary, because he seems not to be himself. He has a little bit of an injury, the ankle injury, and he's been struggling as of late. So Joe Ingles is a way you can get a piece of that Utah Jazz offense. Next is going to be Marcus Morris Sr. He's been playing very well in the absence of Kawhi Leonard. 40 minutes in the game previous. and was able to shoot 10 of 16, 3 or 4 from the three-point line, 25 points, 2 assists and 2 rebounds, 1 block and 1 steal. Fills up the stat sheet. Obviously, you want more rebounds from him, especially from a small forward, power forward mix. But that is okay. They needed offense from him, and he came through in full spades, bumped him up to 5,100. The price is still too cheap, especially if he's getting 40-plus minutes, because they're going to need to rely on him to knock down shots. It's going to have to be a team effort for them to hold off a last-ditch effort from the Utah Jazz. We shall see. And then I obviously Tobias Harris is going to be the next guy, but I see the price is over 7K. This is just someone I think who's been consistent and just had one bad game, and I think we should hop back on the bandwagon because Ben Simmons cannot be trusted. Obviously, we love Embiid. He's a lot to have. They're going to need him to win this game, and it's a total mismatch. Embiid's 100% locked. He's a total mismatch. He can score at will when he wants. All right, and then he chooses to disappear like Casper in the fourth quarter, and then let Atlanta come back twice. So it's crazy. But Tobias Harris, if you look past this 4-point game, you see 20 points in each and every game minimum, and then you see him chipping in with rebounds, assists, steal some game, block some games, but consistency. 46. Look at this. 51 DK, 45 DK, 47 DK, 57 DK, 43 DK. So he just over and over, and they bumped him down all the way to 7,700. He hasn't been that cheap since the Washington series. So I think I want to take full advantage of him. They're going to need a number 2. Obviously, Seth Curry stepped up, but in this game, they're going to need Tobias Harris. When they win, Tobias Harris shoots well. He shoots that 11-19 clip. He shoots that 10-16 clip. They play very well when Tobias Harris, who's getting paid $30 million, shows up. So I definitely want him. I understand Ben Simmons is he's cheap, but I can't trust him. I just can't trust that man. And he can't make a free throw. And then puts your coach in situations where you got to be benched. So it's just ugly. I like Tobias Harris at 7,700. Very cheap price for someone that could see potentially getting a 40 DK tomorrow in a 2-game slate. Next is going to be John Collins. I've been riding him ever since he was at that 5,600 range, and he's been slowly creeping up higher and higher. I'm liking what I see out of him. He's been coming up with big rebounds because obviously Clint Capella has his hands full with Joel Embiid. Collins has been chipping in to help with some rebounding, and he's been knocking down threes as of late. So when he does that, he's going to have a good day. When he's making a couple threes here and there, he's going to go for a 40-burger. He needs to do that again in this game if they want to hold off the Philadelphia 76ers. Obviously, that's going to be a tough ask for a very, very young team when there's a lot of aspirations for the Philadelphia 76ers. So at this 6,300 price for someone that used to be 7K plus, this is a cheap price, and they're definitely going to need him, especially if Clint Capella gets in that foul trouble. All right, let's look over at FanDuel and see some of the price savings that we're going to get. Reggie Jackson is 52 on DraftKings, 55 on FanDuel, only $300 difference. I'm fine paying with that. The upside is huge, especially if all the eyes are going to be on Paul George. Someone else is going to have to step up. Reggie Jackson is showing what he used to do back in the day as a 6-man and a starter. So I'm liking what I'm seeing out of him. Joe Ingles is 5,500 compared to 6K on FanDuel, $500 difference. As long as Mike Conley does not come back, I'll be willing to pay that price. Just make sure you pay attention, because if Mike Conley's coming back, yes, he'll be in limited role. But obviously, they're going to need him. He could be a decoy, just like how the Nets use James Harden. So it'll be very intriguing to see what happens there. Next, we're going to go with Tobias Harris at 72 compared to 77. So I love him on FanDuel. You're getting a cheaper price. He's mainly a scorer. You want him to get more rebounds and some assists. But I like Tobias Harris, $500 cheaper in a very good matchup at, almost sneezed right there, at 7,200. Next is going to be Marcus Morris at 64 on FanDuel compared to 51. So they got the correct price on FanDuel. DraftKings, you can get a discount. He is a lock over there. They're putting a lot of, not a pressure, but a lot of weight on his shoulders to knock down these open jumpers, and he's been coming through each and every time. I'm loving it over there. And then John Collins at 7,500 on FanDuel compared to 63. So big price difference, $1,200. I love John Collins on DraftKings. You got to think about it on FanDuel because that is a way higher price. He's going to have to come through with another double-double, essentially, again, to pay off that price. But I think he can do it. With Clint Capella being up and down, they don't have much of a big man after him. Collins is going to have to be relied upon. And then let's look over at our props for tomorrow. I got 3 for you. The first one we're going to hop on is Tobias Harris to score 20 points plus. I showed you the game log before. If we're just looking at it, 20 points is a definite for him. Before, that 4-point game, 20, 22, 22, 20, 28, 21, 20. He's very consistent to getting you there to that 20 point. The question is how much more. If you want to get greedy and go for 25, that's on you. But 20 should be a definite for Tobias Harris tomorrow. Next is going to be John Collins to score. Not to score, but to get 8 rebounds. With Clint Capella being, having his hands full, it leaves John Collins down low to help rebound for this team. That's the only other big man, because it really gets ugly. You get Solomon Hill, you get Tony Snell, you get that rookie Oak. I don't even know how to say his freaking last name, but hey, that's not going to work. John Collins is going to have to be the guy. Him, Gallinari are going to have to chip in for points and rebounds. But Collins has been very consistent with the rebounding. I said over 8. He's got 11 in the previous game. The game before that got 12. Then got you 7, so very close there. And then in game 2 got you 10. All right, so 3 out of the 5 games he's gotten over 8 rebounds. I'm willing to take that risk in a big game 6 going up against the Philadelphia 76ers. And then last but not least, my final bet is going to be this players point match bet. I'm taking Paul George to outscore Donovan Mitchell. You get a plus 124. I think that is a solid price for someone who has to put the whole team on his back, number one. And then number 2, Donovan Mitchell looks like he's struggling. That ankle injury looks like he's getting to him. That's why they needed Bojan to really step up. He came through. A little bit of Royce O'Neal came through. This is going to be a different case when you're on the road. Those role players are not going to have that home crowd backing them. And now they're in the healthy confines of LA Clipperland. And Paul George is playoff P. And you can see the aggression. You see him taking the ball to the basket and knocking down jumpers as well. Paul George is ready. Playoff P is back. This is what we've been waiting for. Some people might want to apologize, but I think that's a great price, plus 124. Put that in there. Put a nice heavy one on that one. I like that for tomorrow. I think that's a solid core. And that's going to be today's video. We got Reggie Jackson, we got Ingles, Marcus Morris. I think you should focus on the value on the Clippers and then pay up in other spots because obviously we want Embiid. Tobias should have a big game. And I think you get a solid core from there. Let me know how you feel in that comment section below. If you're checking it out each and every day, we are going back and forth. Mixing up plays, seeing if we like this more than that. The conversation is bubbling, and I appreciate you guys, all right? Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at MessNHSD, and I'll be back tomorrow with another video. Peace out.